What's up, guys? This is Mark from My Primal Being. Welcome to another edition of the Iron Eye. As you may have noticed, the music is kind of interesting and bouncy, and maybe even a little distracting, because this video, truth be told, is going to be boring as fuck, because this is a linear progression. It's a 5x5, and I'm doing this for benches. As you can see, I'm just warming up with the bar. The focus for me is always to try and get the form locked in for the actual working sets, and to move as quickly as I possibly can in that proper form, the technique and the position and whatnot. And it's kind of tricky for me, to be honest, because as motivating as barbell can be, it can also be very disheartening. Right now in front of me there is a guy who's got about 5 plates on the bar and he's squatting, and then to my left I've got Scooby-Doo who's about to back squat. God, I can't remember, maybe 6 plates at this point. So I'm just kind of in the middle of this maelstrom while these massive weights are getting lifted. Meanwhile, I remember thinking to myself, I'm just gonna, quietly do my 5x5s. This is just part of the process. I have to get used to it, and I've never really been a strong bencher. So yeah, this was me sucking it up. Fortunately, I got to use the nice bench. So yeah, if you guys can remember the old bench barbell, it sucked. I got to use this one, and it honestly, maybe I'm just kind of a nerd or a little bit of a wiener, but it made me feel like, oh man, I really don't belong here. This is like a legit powerlifter's bench. Yeah, but whatever, I just got in there, used it, did my 5x5. As you can see, it's pretty down there for a dude. Like, this is sad. Like, if someone were to come up to me and be like, hey, how much you bench? I'd be like, 135? I just started lifting. So it's kind of pathetic, to be honest, but whatever. It's a long road, and these are the little steps that it takes to get to whatever my goals happen to be. And at the moment, my goal is just to hit 200 consistently, or maybe even 250, because I'm trying to hit 1,000 pound total at least by the time I get to the USPA meet in September. So yeah, trying to hit like a 400, like a 420 deadlift consistently for a single, a 400-pound squat. Maybe I could eke out maybe plus or minus 20 pounds, depending on how well I get my numbers up for the bench. But really at this point, it's just a matter of, I've never been in a competition. I just want to test myself and push myself with a set goal for a specific event and see what I can do. So now I've switched over to singles at 165, and you guys can see that even this is a struggle. Obviously this is a struggle because I did the warm-ups, which fried me. I also did the 5x5 at 135, and now this is just kind of getting a feel for what it's like to be under 165, which sadly I think at this point in time for the video was about my body weight. And I've since gone up, I want to say about 15 pounds, and then dropped 5 pounds or so from there. So I've been shifting the weight as the volume's gone up, obviously, because my body needs more energy to do all this stuff. And as you can see, I'm playing around with pauses just to kind of get a feel for what it's like in competition. Because generally, from what I've seen, and for God's sakes, if I get this wrong, please let me know in the comments and call me an idiot, but leave me some positive commentary and criticism or whatever. So yeah, I'm just playing around with pauses to see what it's like to be in competition, and whoa, that was a little shaky. And I'm always very persistent about pushing through the sticking points, or I'm pretty good at catching myself in a failed spot, in a failed lift. I'm not saying these are like 400, 300 pounds. This is a different story because this is still manageable, but yeah, pretty good about that, and just kind of shimmying or crawling my way out of a mist lift. So now it's on to back squats. If you guys have watched my videos, you will always know that I like doing front squats because it just gets everything from the top down warmed up. Granted, it's more quaddy and not so glutey. That's why I'll try to sit back into the squat some more than I would with than I think most people would traditionally do. They kind of almost do a good morning front squat sort of dealy. Oh, there's a Scooby-Doo. He's just gonna go over here after he's destroyed that rack over there with like, I think it was like 6 plates. Anyways, yeah, I like to warm up with the front squat because it gets my core in the mix. Hate using that word because it's such a broad term. But if you guys didn't notice, what I did is I just wrapped my upper thigh with a voodoo band, or kind of a knockoff of a voodoo band, which is this thick piece of rubber. I've been experiencing some pain in my anterior or front hip, and so that kind of takes the load off of that. Now, I've never really been a fan of like geared lifting and using belts and stuff. I've always believed that if your body is telling you you shouldn't be lifting, then you shouldn't be lifting. But this is one of those things where it's like, I'm stubborn and I'm gonna do my lifts because it's that particular lift for that day, so I'm gonna fucking do it. And now what you've noticed, if you've noticed, I'm seated and I'm wrapping myself again because I'm trying to put on another band around my knee because my right leg just doesn't have as much mobility as my left one. My left leg is, I believe, a little bit hypermobile, especially down in the ankles. My ankles and my right leg tends to lag behind. But here I am at 225. I think I hesitated for a second. Yeah, here we go. Put it back down. I think it was a little bit too hairy to try and do. I've just kind of been plateauing at this spot, and I think after this I realized that I needed to get my stance out a little bit wider. I pride myself on this narrow stance without raised heels on my shoes, just because my whole mentality about it. But it's probably something I'm gonna have to play around with down the line because it's been a limiting factor. But that looked kind of easy. It was 225 for 5. Now I don't remember if I was doing pre-workout or just coffee. At some point I transitioned to doing pre-workout with Monster, which is pretty aggressive, and I have to try my best to not die whenever I do that. But I believe he's pretty smooth. Lately I've noticed my 225s have been pretty rough, and I think that's just because I've since cut weight from this to try and see what it would feel like to play around with that. So yeah, it's definitely a noticeable difference in strength, which is pretty amazing because I've never really played around with it. I've been pretty consistent about my weight. Anyways, this is towards the end. For some weird reason, I think I set the exposure higher because it was getting dark. This was probably about 8 o'clock in the evening, so yeah. In which case, I should actually be at Bay's place and not at the gym. And I'm almost certain I probably got in trouble after this because she got a little mad I didn't show up on time. But yeah, I'm just stubborn. Gotta get my lifts in, get them done. But still, as you may notice, this is still pretty smooth. Not too rough, although it's hard to tell from this angle what's going on. Just wrapping up. The gym's getting awfully busy. There's a whole lot of commotion over to the back and right of me because there's some big dignitaries, the Barbell Brigade gym, out there doing their thing. I'm actually pretty stoked on the form here, if I don't say so myself. But anyways, I'm gonna get over myself. This is about to wrap. I hope you guys liked it. There I am with my ugly face, finishing up my squats. Grindy, but there's a Scooby-Doo giving me a little courtesy. But that's it. Thanks guys. Check me out, subscribe and all that. Peace out.